Hello, Bettina, how are you? Bettina's waving at me, I'm not sure why.
It's like a pain.
Can I start by congratulating you here on a wonderful conference?
Yeah.
And the organisers for doing an incredible job. But I'd really like to congratulate somebody who mightn't have been congratulated yet, and that is all the Brisbanians who have come out in great numbers and have stayed on hour by hour, day by day. I can't believe how many of you are here today. And I want you to give yourself a round of applause. Today my talk is going to try and introduce you. Can you hear me because I'm very croaky? I'm quite audible? Yep. So, I'm going to try and introduce you to a man called Lafcadio Hearn. And I'm trying to explain that maybe, by not understanding fully Lafcadio Hearn, we might be losing a really big opportunity to promote Kythera. In particular, an opportunity to enhance culture and tourism on the island. This arises from a failure to take advantage of a connection between the world-renowned author, Lafcadio Hearn, and the island of Kythera. In other cities and other countries around the world, any connection has been fully exploited. The connection arises because Lafcadio Hearn's mother, Rosa Andonia Tessima Kurg Kasamatis, was born in Kythera in 1823 in the last house on the left as you go up and enter the Castro in Hora. The house is now marked with a plaque, and the owner, Cleomenos Petrokoulos, has some open days during the Kytherian summer, which I hope all of you will take advantage of when you're there in the summer. Hearn aficionados around the world are desperately seeking a photo of Rosa. The best we have at the moment is this watercolour print by Japanese artist Mitsumiya Anno, drawn from a verbal description of Rosa Kasamatis. The holy grail of Kasamatis studies is, will we ever find a photograph of Rosa Kasamatis? Lafcadio Hearn, Japanese name Koizumi Yakumo, 1850 to 1904, was an author, translator, educator, and is known for his excellent English prose. He is highly regarded by the Japanese people as the first Westerner to truly understand their culture and to educate the West about Japanese culture. While living in Japan from 1890 to 1904, he wrote articles about Japan in Atlantic Monthly and Harper's for very famous American magazines. While always writing in English, his Japanese wife Setsuko helped him gain great insight into Japanese customs and folklore. Okay, so by what route did Hearn arrive in Japan? We need to explore briefly his life history in order to gain an understanding of this. Hearn's father was an Irishman, Surgeon Major Charles Bush Hearn. His mother was, of course, Rosa. He was given the name Lafcadio, which refers to the Ionian island of Leucada in Greece, where he was born. At the age of 2, his parents brought him to Dublin Island, where he was raised by his great aunt, Sarah Brennan. He lost the sight of one eye as a result of a childhood accident, which is why he's always photographed in profile. He was a neglected child, particularly by his father, and became in many ways an outsider. Hearn and Rosa became estranged, and eventually their marriage was annulled. Rosa almost immediately married Giovanni Cavallini, an aristocratic Greek citizen of Italian ancestry who was later appointed by the British as governor of Kythera. The Cavallini family, most of you will know, was the wealthiest family in Kythera during the 1800s. And many of their houses, 3 or 4 of their houses are the largest on Kythera, and one of them now is the residence of the Archbishop of Kythera. It was a very, very established family and a very prominent European family. Cavallini required as a condition of the marriage that Rosa give up custody of both Lafcadio and his brother James. As a result, James was sent to his father in Dublin, and Lafcadio remained in the care of Sarah Brennan. Brennan had disinherited Charles Hearn because of the annulment. Neither Lafcadio nor Jane saw their mother again. Rosa had 4 children with a second husband, many of them who live in Sydney. Descendants of the Kytherae are well known in both Australia and America. Tragically, Rosa was later in life committed to the National Mental Asylum in Corfu, where she died in 1882. So back to Lafcadio. He studied in France and England before going to Cincinnati in America at the age of 19 to become a newspaper reporter. He gained a huge reputation there as a prominent American journalist. On the 14th of June 1874, Hearn, aged 22, married Alethea Maddie Foley, a 20-year-old African-American woman, an action in those days, tragically, in violation of Ohio's anti-miscegenation laws at the time. It was illegal to marry a Negro. This led to his dismissal from the Cincinnati Enquirer. The marriage was volatile and ended in divorce. He later worked as a reporter in New Orleans, where he wrote his first novel, Cheetah. It was in New Orleans, where Hearn was covering the World Industrial Exhibition of 1885, that he first became fascinated by the Japanese culture as he studied the Japanese exhibit. He later lived for 6 months in New York. In 1887, the prestigious Harper's magazine sent Hearn to the West Indies as a correspondent. He lived for 2 years in Martinique, where he wrote 2 novels. In 1890, he moved to Japan and was befriended by the great linguist and professor at Tokyo University, Basil Hall Chamberlain. Chamberlain helped Hearn secure a position teaching English at Matsui in Shimane Prefecture, where his love for Japan rapidly grew and passed into history. In 1891, Hearn married Koizumi Satsuko and taught English and literature in several Japanese universities until his death. His book, Glimpses of an Unfamiliar Japan, written in 1894, established his reputation as an interpreter of Japan to the West. You have to understand that the West had very little clue as to the real ethos and the culture of Japan. Other writings by Hearn include Japan, An Attempt at Reinterpretation, 1904, Exotics and Retrospective, 1898, In Ghostly Japan, 1899, Shadowings, 1900, and A Japanese Miscellany, 1901, and K-Don in 1904. So now that we have established the genetic connection between Lafcadio and Kythera, let's undertake a case study of how other places around the world have exploited this connection. It's a really good connection to exploit. Today I will concentrate on sister Ionian Island, Lefkada, but I will refer to other places as well a little later on. To do this, I need to introduce you to a young dynamic Greek woman called Maria Gedetiou. Maria is employed as a cultural officer at the National Bank of Greece, and she's also a master of calligraphy and a museum designer. She has visited the island of Kythera many times and exhibited artworks and delivered papers on Kythera. Some of her calligraphy works are exceptional. So now we have an artistic museum designer ready to go to work for Kythera. Enter the Demo of Lefkada with a large municipal chamber and thankfully 2 large rooms made available to house a museum of Lafcadio Hearn. These rooms were Maria's starting point. So what did Maria create out of these 2 rooms? Something exceptional, as we can see. Maria had used Lafcadio's favourite colour, a deep blue, as the backdrop for the museum. The Lafcadio Hearn Historical Centre was opened to much fanfare on July 4th, 2014, with dignitaries from Japan, America and Europe heavily involved. So the question is, what benefits accrued to Lefkada as a result of the opening of the centre? The first benefit was an influx of capital, artefacts and gifts, mainly from Japan, but also from USA and Europe. The amount was in the vicinity of 140,000 euros, which came pouring into Lefkada. You saw some of the gifts in the exhibits on display in the Historical Centre. Other benefits include an education program geared in particular to young people. So there's all the young people in Lefkada, one of our fellow Ionian islands, being educated about Japan and being educated about one of the famous authors who actually derived from our island, Kythera. A lot of presentation, talks and discussions held on a regular basis, such as that one there. Concerts and performances, all kinds of concerts and performances, particularly featuring the Japanese culture. And this has led to many international conferences, including an incredible one called the Open Mind of Lefkadia Hearn Conference, held from July 5th and 6th, 2014 at the Onion Blue Hotel in Lefkada, Greece. International conferences and exhibitions for Lefkadia occur throughout the world on a regular basis and in the least expected places. Here's an advertisement for an international conference at Durham University, a collegiate public research university in Durham in northeast England. The Japanese have an inordinate reverence for Lefkadia. They love him to death. Oh, not to death, whatever. They love him a lot. There are 3 museums dedicated to Lefkadia in Shimane Prefecture, based at Matsui in Japan. They are far and away the greatest tourist attraction in that prefecture. It's like being the best tourist attraction in New South Wales or Queensland. In 2007, Japan issued stamps featuring Lefkadia as part of their Cultural Leaders Commemorative Stamp Series. Other countries have also exploited the Lefkadia collection. So there's a stamp. It's a massive sets of stamps, and that is a beautiful museum, of which there are now 3 in different places in Japan, in the prefecture of Matsui. Other countries have also exploited the Lefkadia collection. This is a photo of the Lefkadia Hearn Room at Tulane University in New Orleans in the United States of America, with Lefkadia's grandson in attendance. More recently at Tremor in County Watford in Ireland, the Irish have dedicated an extraordinary garden to the memory of Lefkadia. The Irish have learnt the value to country and to province of the fact that Lefkadia spent his childhood in Ireland. They have learnt the valuable lesson. Let us discuss for a moment some of Lefkadia's books that have been published. The first 3 books by Lefkadia Hearn in the Greek language were published by the Kytherian World Heritage Fund out of Australia in 2015. In 2016, Mitsubishi Elas distributed them to schools in Attica and the Ionian Islands in Greece. Mitsubishi has indicated that they are prepared to make further donations in order to promote the work of Lefkadia Hearn in Greece. Mitsubishi says, whatever it takes, we will promote the work of Lefkadia Hearn. Let me also inform you that the opening of the Lefkadia Hearn Historical Centre in 2014, Stavros Dimas donated a very large and valuable collection of Lefkadia's book to the municipal government of Lefkada. Here we see some of the valuable books beautifully displayed in Lefkada. Now, who is Stavros Dimas? Stavros Dimas is the Commissioner for Greece in the European Union and the Minister in the Hellenic government. He lives in Athens, is a very wealthy man and a benefactor to many worthy causes. 20 of the books he donated to Lefkada he had multiple copies of. So he agreed to donate 20 copies to the Municipal Library of Kythera. Those books are now on permanent display there in shelves with lockable glass doors. We hope to build upon the collection by acquiring other valuable Lefkadia Hearn books and artefacts. So summing up, some Kytherians contend that the Lefkadia connection to Kythera is tenuous. You know, we just made it up. But the opposite is true. We didn't make it up. The Kytherian connection is much more powerfully direct than all others because Lefkadia emerged from a Kytherian womb. which is very hard to get away from your identity when that actually happens, Steve. By failing to take advantage of this protection, what has Kythera missed out on? Firstly, at least 120,000 euros in financial assistance and gift from Japan, the United States and Europe, in particular from Ireland and Great Britain. Once the Australians and Canadians understand the importance of cardio, opportunities will arise for assistance from these two countries as well. Numerous gifts and financial assistances from Greek citizens. The perfect example are the books we received today from, recently from Stavros Demos. So we're missing out on those numerous gifts and financial assistance. There's also a possibility of very substantial sums of money that could be received directly from the government of Japan and via grants from the European Union. It's difficult for me to convey to you the reverence and the passion that the Japanese have for Lafcadio Hearn, the son of Rosa Casamati. A direct link with the large worldwide Lafcadio Hearn network, another thing we're missing out on. There's this incredible worldwide Hearn network which already exists, and we're missing out on the power that derives from being associated with that network. It would create a tremendous boost to the cultural dynamic of the island, something a little bit different, something monodikov, as we say in Greece. It would create a tremendous boost to tourism if we could entice, and the Japanese families in particular who know about Lafcadio come to Kythera quite often, but if we could expand that base, we could also expand our tourist base and maybe open up the tourist season as well. So it's time for Kytherians and people from Kythera to really come to terms with how important this man is and how we can exploit him to an incredible degree. We cannot afford to lose opportunities of this type and of this magnitude. This is really big. So, the argument I've tried to make today is that there are supreme advantages in establishing a Lafcadio Hearn Museum on Kythera, and we need to grasp this opportunity now, or as soon as we can, to exploit its full potential. Thank you for listening.
Bravo, Judy.
Thank you, George. Very, very interesting. I don't know if many people were aware that Lafcadio Hearn was in fact of Kytherian origin, but there's the proof right there. Is Amelia Brown here?